30 years ago, my father, Richard Dimbleby, was involved in making a film about the early years of the Spastic Society. Those of you who've been part of the society will probably remember it well. Here's an excerpt where he's talking about the founders.
And now enter 4 completely new people, each of them determined to do something more about this awful problem. Ian Dawson-Shepherd, Alex Moira, Eric Hodgson, and Jean Garwood. It is 1951, and with a capital of £5, they start the National Spastic Society. They draw up a 5-year plan to raise £1 million, to establish parents' groups in every big town, to open local and national pilot centres for spastics, to persuade the powers that be, local authorities or Westminster, to set up more and more centres, and to tell the British public what it's all about, to tell it loud and clear to the lucky ones, the ones like us. Perhaps 1 person in 1,000 had heard the word spastic, and fewer still knew what it meant. Every means was used to reach the people. The Daily Mirror featured spastics in its Ruggles cartoon. Money's the thing. Money can buy a lot more than you imagine.
£1 million for spastic.
And in 1957...
Target achieved.
Now, 30 years on, the Society has an annual turnover in excess of £70 million a year, and it and its local groups continue to do vital work. I'm very glad to be one of those who've been asked to support the aims of the Society and its change of name to Scope.
November the 3rd, 1994, a momentous day. The Spastic Society no longer exists. In its place comes Scope. Its 230 affiliated local groups, 3,700 staff and 250,000 volunteers will ensure that Scope remains, as Britain's largest disability charity, at the forefront of the fight for decent conditions and better provision for disabled people, particularly those with cerebral palsy. The change was announced at a House of Commons reception, when at 1 o'clock precisely, Britain's largest ever flag was draped down the side of St Thomas Hospital across the river by abseiling soldiers. The flag measures fully 65 metres by 50 and weighs 1.5 tons. Scope is very much a nationwide organisation, so simultaneously across the country, supporters unveiled 1,700 smaller flags, all bearing the new logo. In Nottingham, for example, they celebrated with games and fun in the city centre. So now the Society's important work will be carried on under a new banner, that of Scope. And while the flags were being unfurled, Scope released the results of Britain's largest ever survey of the experiences and feelings of disabled people. Entitled Disabled in Britain, A World Apart, it showed that hostility, abuse and prejudice are still major problems for disabled people and their families and carers, something that was emphasised by Scope Chief Executive Anne Robinson.
I think what I want to say is that I think what you've heard and seen already draws a very bleak picture of life in Britain for disabled people, their parents and carers. And we have to ask ourselves how we can regard ourselves as a civilised society. How can we think that we have any real community values? How can we think that there's real choice and opportunity for people generally when there are so many people who are excluded from all of this? So what are we going to do about that? Well, today we're changing our name. We have dropped the word spastic. I think that that one word spastic sums up the isolation and indignity felt by disabled people and those closest to them.
It was the abusive effect of the name which led to the hunt for a new title, following a decision in principle at the AGM 2 years ago. The fact is, the word spastic had become a hindrance rather than a help, offensive to many and confusing to most. Widespread consultation produced a list of 400 potential names. A short list of 5 was subjected to intensive research and further consultation. And finally, the name Scope was adopted by the Extraordinary General Meeting last March.
In respect of Special Resolution 1, change of name, the number voting yes, 189, the number voting no, 49, at a 79.4% majority.
But the change was much more than a facelift. 1994 sees the launch of a number of important developments. One of the most important is Scope's Gate Opener initiative, aimed at making the society more accessible and responsive by developing a local presence everywhere, to give people easy access to its services and those of other organisations. One of the first gate openers is in Swindon, but eventually there will be several hundred throughout England and Wales. Behind the schemes lies the thought that the best people to give advice are the same people who have actually faced similar problems. The volunteers will be given intensive training in communication skills, listening skills, and the importance of confidentiality. Another development is the Local Group Partnership Agreement, which will bring about closer relationships between the Society and its 200+ affiliated groups. And following the Working Together consultation programme, the Society has been exploring the possibilities of enhancing the role in decision-making of people with disabilities. One way could be to allow individual membership. Scope's president, His Grace the Duke of Westminster, has welcomed all these changes, including the change of name.
I have been in favour of the new name ever since it was first mooted. I thought it important. At this stage of the development of the society, nothing should remain inviolate. I mean, change sometimes is never popular, even when it's from better, or from worse to better, rather. And there is no doubt, I think, that the debate has now taken place. I think it is important that those now who are working within the society pick this up and run with it and go for it, because I think it is a further demonstration that the society is moving ahead.